What is up, my beautiful terabytes? I'm Tara with Tara Simon Studios, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to deep dive, like really deep dive, into Luciano Pavarotti's very last song he ever sang while on this earth, Nessun Dorma. I'm going to get into granular intricacies about this performance. It is a live performance, by the way, and this is a song from the opera Turandot. I'm also going to get into the back history and the lyrics of the song within the context of this opera, and also why and how it became a worldwide phenomenon in a sporting event context. Spoiler alert for that. We're going to dive into all of those things and more. Stay tuned with me. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. Here we go. Okay, all right. So much that I want to say just in that first piece of perfection, really, from Pavarotti. Now, I want to get into first his vocals and why there are so many just musical and vocal technique gems in that small snippet. But I also want to go through the lyrical content and why he is so perfectly emotive in context to the lyrics. And in order to understand that, you also need to understand the lyrics. If you're not an Italian speaker, you're gonna understand finally what the words mean today. Let's go back and watch his very first note delivery. Did you see the way that he breathed? Did anybody notice? He filled up from the bottom up, everyone. He went, that was like a 2.5 second breath. It was a luxuriously timed breath. It was the perfect way to start such a song. And it's almost like that N. So it kind of started out of the breath in. Like there wasn't this glottal hold. It was just a N sound, like nothing in between. So beautifully done. And I love how his mouth gradually opened to create this sort of like volume cushion so that it wasn't just Nessun Dorma. There's finesse, there's nuance to this, guys. And it was just this ease in of sonic deliciousness from Pavarotti. Such vocal prowess there. Let's listen one more time. Singing on the N. It's very common in the Italian language to add vowels, particularly A's, even where they're not normally in the spelling of the word. And he did that here. It's Nessun Dorma. That is the spelling, N-E-S-S-U-N, new word, D-O-R-M-A. But he sings Nessun Dorma, D-O-R-A-M-A, to add this sort of babbling brook, very fluid melodic effect to the word dorma. If he didn't do that, it would sound like Nessun Dorma. He'd be forced to sing on the M. Instead of that, he added an A in front of it so that he could sing on an open mouth vowel. So much better, so much more sonically pleasing for the listener, better for your voice, and easier, by the way. Nessun Dorma. You hear the difference? Something also very classic Italian is holding on to L's. Nella tua fredda nella, instead of nella tua nella tua and it allows this trampoline effect on the A. It almost adds a percussiveness to the A when you hang on just a little longer to that double L than you would if you weren't being intentional about your diction. So far, in case you're not reading the English captions, it's saying nobody shall sleep. Nobody shall sleep. Even you, O princess, in your cold room, watch the stars. Look at the stars and tremble. Wilting down. Okay, that last line for me was like, oh God. Woo, that's difficult to do. There's two things that go on in order to make that cool thing happen, okay? It's a fall off with a decrescendo simultaneously done. That's the fall off, but without a decrescendo. Adding the decrescendo to it. It's almost like if you were trying to sound like a ghost at Halloween. It's that, really, only intentionally done in Nessun Dorma. Speranza. And I love, 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 love the openness of his mouth there on speranza, especially. Let's go back and listen to that. See, that's intentionality. It's low for him. He really doesn't need that much space. But in order to make the spera a twin vowel to the nsa, speranza, he opens so equally and so beautifully, even though he really doesn't need the space. He does it just as a matter of practice. And I tell my singers this all the time. Just because you don't need the space doesn't mean you shouldn't open your mouth, because you're building muscle memory in everything that you do when you're singing. And if you don't open your mouth on an open mouth vowel now, well, what's gonna be there to tell your brain to do it later when it's a mid to high note? It's gonna feel like more of a change. Whereas if you just did it out of good technique in the first place, you're just carrying over that good habit for the rest of the song. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Whew, love that breath in. Same fall off decrescendo there. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Okay. I mean, it's really difficult for me as a coach and as a singer who loves opera, who's been trained in opera, coloratura, hey, to listen to this and like not get lost in it. That's what's supposed to happen, guys. Like when you sing, if you're doing it right, it should be really difficult for me to keep my focus and my composure if I'm reacting to you, because I can't. Like I have to really, okay, we're going back. Here we go. That tremble with love and hope, but my secret is hidden within me. My name no one shall know. No, no. That's where we're at right now with the lyrics. And I want to give a little bit of a lyrical analysis to this right now while we're stopping thinking about this. So Nessun Dorma is none shall sleep, right? That's what it's translated to. And it's actually a very sophisticated phrase. The original meaning of this verb in Italian, dormire, really more or less infers that there's a desire that nobody should sleep. So the character that's singing this, his name is Calaf, he's saying this repeatedly because the princess, Turandot, has said, nobody can sleep tonight until you find the name of the man who's in love with me so I can kill him. Because at this point, she's already beheaded hundreds of like potential suitors, and she really wants to stay single. Like she's like off with her head, I don't need no man. I don't want no man. But this crazy guy loves her so much, he doesn't care. And he is willing to take the challenge to win her love back. So he actually twists her words around and uses them against her, boss play, alpha male, and is like, oh yeah, no, nobody sleep because I'm gonna have your hand by morning and I'm gonna make you love me. In fact, I'm gonna just like skip ahead and give you a little something to look forward to. Pavarotti's top B note at the end, vincerò, means I will win. Mic drop. So isn't that so classic? Like that's such a classic like guy chases girl, cat and mouse thing, only the stakes are a bit higher in this one. She gonna kill him if he doesn't make good on his word. All right, now let me break down what you just heard from Pavarotti just now. Love that breath. Okay, right there, he did the same exact fall off decrescendo mixture on chiuso in me. Gorgeous, absolutely perfectly placed. Okay, saprà. You're not gonna notice this unless I say it, most likely, but he added a small little A there too. Saprà, para. It's S-A-P-R-A, saprà. But saprà. Do you hear the H-A almost? Saprà, saprà. And he's saying there, my secret is hidden within me. And the way he sings saprà, hear that little stop there? It sounds almost like a secret, right? Okay. That top note that he's singing there, he is treating as one long hold, and he is only using his tongue to change the word. Let's watch again. That's really, really important for anybody who's singing high, long, hard, sustained notes. You must isolate your jaw as much as possible. You want to drop and lock as much as you can, unless there's a consonant that absolutely cannot be manipulated. Watch what he does here. No. Ka, na. And then when he moved down, he had to go to that D, right? But the ka, very small jaw movement there. And then no jaw movement at all when he goes to the na, right? Watch one more time. Sapra. No. Watch the breath here. Oh, and the slide down was just so luscious, so luxurious. But it was able to be relaxed with no tension because he sustained and stuck and spun that top note with very minimal jaw movement. He isolated that jaw. Also, the way he placed it was not far forward. It could have been, but it wasn't. That's way more pop. It was, backing up a little bit more than you would normally hear me say to do if you were a pop singer or someone singing contemporary music. You have to go up into more of what I would call like a classical belt, where it doesn't come as forward first, it comes up and back. It's kind of this instead of that. And the reason being is because these guys, when they go even higher, they just zip straight on up. They allow the head voice to come and be pulled down, and that allows them to hit higher notes, seemingly sounding like it's their chest voice, but it's actually not quite. It's not a full, and when I say chest, I mean like full throttle, like that shouty sound, right? They don't do that in classical music. For those of you guys who are not trained classically, this is how you belt in classical music. And it's also very male dominated. Very few females, especially sopranos and up, ever belt in classical music. Ooh, interesting there, okay? I say interesting because, again, the way things are spelled don't necessarily equal the way that they should be sung, even in classical music, even when diction is picked apart on a microgranular level. So, quando la luce, L-U-C-E, is the spelling of that word. But listen to how Pavarotti sings it. Can you hear the difference? Do you hear L-U-C-E? Or do you hear L-O-C-H-A-H? spelling it phonetically. Quando la luce is how he sang it. Quando la luce is how you would say it. But I'm gonna give you a sonic example of why it was a better choice to do that. Quando la luce. It's fine, but quando la luce has so much more body and richness. Oh, and by the way, it feels amazing. Way better on the old vocal folds to sing it that way, because why? There's more space. And what do I say, guys? Say it after me. Any extreme note, high or low, this is a lower note, needs more what? Space and support. It's the two S's, the pillars of which all good sound stands upon. Okay, I promise, I'm gonna give you little fun tidbits about Pavarotti in a second, but you gotta understand why this is so different from all of the other decrescendos and fall-offs that he did. It's a little opposite, actually. First of all, just like Luce, he is manipulating the vowel on splenderà. Splenderà, S-P-L-E-N-D-E-R-A. But hear him. He sings splen in two different vowels. It's more of a spl, splendera. And then he widens, shows his teeth a little bit more, and goes to the D. The reason he does this is because he is crescendoing to then do a quick fall off into the D. Listen. Teeth. Yeah. And the A at the end is so well supported as it ends. It's got a long spl, and then he quickly shows his teeth, goes bigger, goes louder, and then falls off in a fast way to the D, which acts as a trampoline to the dera. Splendera. And the A at the end, he uses his abs. You can see this little right as he ends the note. It's not ended glottally. It's not da-da or da-da. It's da-da. He's just squeezing that and the sound stops. Now, I told you at the beginning that this song became sort of synonymous, actually, with triumph. An anthem of victory, if you will. So Pavarotti performed this in 1990 at the World FIFA Cup. And that's really the performance that sort of cemented his place in pop culture. It led to this crazy surge of interest by lay people who really may have never been interested in classical music or opera at the time. And it caused them to be interested. And so therefore there was this sort of like surge of Pavarotti and then everything that he represented, which is classical music and vocal technique and opera and arias and all of that, into the mainstream audience and marketplace. I think this was the most successful example of that happening possibly of all time, where people heard this guy sing this song on this enormous platform. The FIFA World Cup is a really big deal. And so everybody watched and they attached this victorious moment in time in sporting events with this song about this guy who's willing to get beheaded so that he wins over the princess's love, who's all too willing and desiring to kill him. It has zero context to sports, but I want to make a point here. When an emotional commitment is made in the depths of a singer to convey the emotion of a song, it transcends the reason the song was written, the actual meaning of the song, and it takes on an entirely new life and meaning of its own for the listener. I hope you go back and listen to what I just said again, especially if you're a singer or an artist watching this right now. I've coached tens of thousands of people all over the world, and that right there, more so than hitting a certain belt note, getting someone to sing on pitch, teaching them vibrato, riffs and runs, stage presence, choreography while singing, I could go on and on. More than all of those things, if you can do that, which is really difficult to do, by the way, there's a place for you in the music industry. You would have what it takes. A song like NESSUN DORMA, which is I Will Win, and yes, the title of it makes sense for a sporting event like that, but there is no part of the words other than that, really, that makes any sense. And yet, it became synonymous with victory and with winning and with something so mainstream, so contemporary that so wasn't. Because this singer had the courage to own it so hardcore, so down deep in his soul, and portray it in such a way on his face. You can see he's like ready to go to war, right? And you don't even need to know the lyrics. I've been saying the lyrics in English, but for a non-speaking Italian person watching this, honestly, do you need to really know the lyrics to know how he's feeling and what he's trying to convey? On his face, there are emotions of even so, in spite of, nevertheless, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm charging into the battle. I will win, right? And if he didn't sing any single note, I would watch him muted just to see that on his face and in his body and in his breathing. Wouldn't you? Let's listen to some more. Love a good orchestra. My kiss will break the silence. Oh, I love that they changed to a profile view there because you can see on silencio, which is an O, which is supposed to be closed, just how open his mouth was there. Watch his silencio. Oh, on his, all of the bigger notes that he sings, the swells that he does. I've always felt this about Pavarotti. It's like when you hear his long holds, it's almost like I can see inside of his midsection, this humongous cavernous space that the sound just like swirls in. It's like he doesn't even need a mic. And the space inside of himself is where the sound just amplifies and grows and swirls and grows and thickens and grows as he holds a note. Watch. Right here. It's like I hear the inside of himself in that note. It comes from so deep within, it compels me to listen again. We're gonna listen to it again, but this time I'm gonna pay attention to the silencio, and I want you to do the same. Watch his mouth. Love that. Grow into the note. He is singing a straight up AH there. It is not an O, even though that's how it's spelled. Silencio, not silencio. Classical singers, you know this, diction is pounded into you, but for anybody who's like a novice or loves classical music, but they're not quite sure how to sing it, you cannot just go based off of the spelling of the word. You have to go based off of the diction that's perceived within the technique of classical music, which is always space first, always space first. There's that fall off and decrescendo again. Classic Pavarotti. Gorgeous, gorgeous wilt. Now, I'm sure even though we can't see him right now, he is swallowing, taking some breaths. Wow. Okay, I know. But before we go there, first, I want to ask you a question. Did you know that Pavarotti was actually never meant to be a singer? It's true. He actually wanted to be a football goalkeeper. His father, Fernando, was actually an amateur tenor, but he made his living as a baker, and his mother worked in a tobacco factory. And they pushed Pavarotti, actually, as a young boy, to become a school teacher. And somehow along the way, he drifted even farther and started selling insurance. And then his father was like, no, I insist you're going back to school to become a professor. But his mother, Adele, was the one who was like, no, you need to sing opera. And this is the part where I tell you, not all roads are straight that lead to the path of where you're supposed to be. In fact, I would venture to say that none of them are. In fact, all of the good stories never have a straight, clean path. And so if you're watching this and you're like on a lunch break, from working at a department store, and you have a dream of singing, or if you are a school teacher and you always thought that you'd end up on a stage somewhere, or if you're a banker or an insurance agent or a baker or working in a tobacco factory, whatever you're doing, if somewhere along the way you sort of lost your way, it's never too late. It's never too late to rewrite a story. You're still living, you're still breathing, and this man changed the face of opera and put it into the ears of mainstream culture, and quite literally is one of the hallmark singers of an entire genre of music that's held so sacred and is so rich in history and in respect. And he sold insurance at one point. So if that doesn't free you up and inspire you to dream a little bigger today and to push a little harder for your dreams, I'm not saying go quit your job and like sing on the streets. I'm saying maybe cancel that Netflix subscription, maybe throw out the TV, maybe like spend every single waking moment of your free time after you're done with that I gotta make ends meet job, and follow your dream and pursue your passion and invest into yourself. Commit to that 1% of progress and go for it. Just do it. What are you waiting for? Don't underestimate the capabilities that you have inside of yourself. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm just saying, like, this so inspires me. It inspires me so greatly to know the humility and the humanity of the story behind the legend. It's again, like, okay, come on, don't lose yourself, Tara. You have to talk to the people here. Okay. I'm gonna try to keep my composure this time, but that one was for me. Let's listen again. Okay. So remember how I said that midsection thing about how the notes just swirl? Totally did it for me on note. It just swirls. It just grows and swirls, and it is so thick and it is so up here and so well placed. And yet there's no shoulder movement. He's so well supported. He even shows the bottom teeth. I think he uses it as kind of like an anchor for himself. Let's watch that again. Yeah, not that. It's like there's length to it, right? He's not widening out. And this is very contradictory to something I would tell a pop singer. Again, like if you're singing pop, I say upside down triangle. I say raise the cheekbones, drop the jaw, make that upside down triangle, show the upper teeth, right? You want space up and the jaw down so that the sound goes forward, but that is not the move here. And you cannot just say, oh, well, I'm a trained singer, I can sing anything. No, like there is a lot of different and even contradictory technique and methodology to singing classical arias than there are to singing like a CCM, country, pop, or even Broadway song, or Disney for that matter. But now let's get into how he uses consonants in these phrases on the upper part of this aria to act as a percussive measure, but also that trampoline effect that adds this bounciness to the vowels that follow the consonant. That. Tramontare. So we have an A after the T. Tramontate, right? Tramontate. Tramontate. And in Italian, you do sort of pause even when speaking. Tramontate. There's a little tiny, if you slow that down, there's like a little micro pause. Tramontate, that N between the N and the T, right? When you sing, if you also implement that pause, it's like implementing a little tiny rebounder or a trampoline that bounces you to the next vowel. So, tramonta, tramonta. See how much better it is when you take that small little micro pause and it just boom, it kind of explodes the A. And if that happens, if the A has this mini explosion to it, what happens? Boom! There's a natural fall off. You don't have to work for it at all. If you don't have that pause before the T, you have to work for the fall off. You have to manually manufacture it. But if you do what you need to do before that vowel that you want to fall off on, which is pause and explode into the A from that T, the only thing you have to do then is worry about decrescendoing because the fall off is already naturally happening. This is how he's able to implement so many vocal techniques on a micro level so easily and effortlessly, I might add. Watch now, since you know what and how he's doing, and see if you can appreciate it. And I think he actually over-exaggerated the second one even more, which is also so brilliant because anytime you're singing and you repeat something, don't do it the same exact way the second time. When we repeat ourselves in life, why do we do that? Because we don't feel like we were heard or we want to really emphasize something. So what do? We say it with a little more conviction or a little more volume or a little more emphasis. Emphasis is the key word here. He is emphasizing that T, tramontata, the second time even more so, just so that you get the point, just so that the listener's like, And in case you missed it, here it is again. We're gonna listen to both tramontates. And in case you didn't get it the first time, Okay. I never thought I'd be giving you an egg analogy for opera, but here's what it's gonna be, guys. Vincero, okay? It sounds like an E, so think of that as the yolk of an egg, yeah? That's the yolk of an egg right here. Vincero. However, he is not singing a hard E. What he's doing is using the white of the egg as an O, and he is wrapping it around that I. I'm gonna give you a sonic example of what that means right now. Vincero. It totally transforms that E into a more full, robust, well-rounded, much more glorious sounding vincero. And this is why classical technique is second to none, because it uses things like manipulation of vowels and singing smarter with your mouth to create such a bigger, more booming sound with zero more effort. Now, what he is about to do in these next two vinceros is different than what he's doing now. I'm gonna give you a little hint. It has something to do with an A. Did you hear it? I'm not gonna let you get to the high note. You don't get that reward yet until you get it. Vincero. Okay, he added an A. It's no longer V-I-N-C, it's V-I-N-A. Then moving on with the word Vincere, and it adds this beautiful trampoline effect that bounces him off into the cero. He does this not because he really needs to do it here, he needs to do it in the next one. And he's setting up his technique now, which is so smart, especially when you have a word that repeats and it's exactly the same. Maybe not melodically, but lyrically it's the same. So that he doesn't have to use any mental bandwidth to change it on the high note. He's using enough mental bandwidth to get through that note properly and amazingly, as you'll hear him do. As it is, he's gonna do it now. And it's beautiful, and it even sounds more Italian. Like that is a very like classic Italian thing to do. Mamma mia, vincero. It's very Italian to do. So now, listen to how he implements the vincero on the final, most penultimate note of this entire song. And listen to how he executes this last note. It's gonna knock your socks off. Oh! Look at the sense of pride in his face there. Just accomplishment, like relief, ecstasy, just reveling in this amazing moment there. He's like, I did it. Standing, get on your feet. Oh my gosh. And to me, guys, this was the most amazing performance of NESSUN DORMA of all time. Like, it is the one to be beaten. And I will say, a lot of people have tried, but in my opinion, nobody has ever beaten Luciano Pavarotti's rendition of NESSUN DORMA. If you remember nothing else from this video though, I want you to remember one thing, that a young boy living in a small town in Italy, who once was encouraged to be a school teacher, then turned at some point insurance salesman, then was encouraged to go be a professor, finally found his way into his calling. And it was never too late for him. He was always meant to do that, and he found it eventually, but he didn't give up. He kept pushing, he kept leaning into, he kept being curious. And I want you to be encouraged and inspired to do the same thing. There doesn't need to be a difference between you and Luciano Pavarotti as long as you don't give up. You might just be one step away. Go to the link in my link me and submit yourself to be reacted to by me by going to instareactions.com, or book a single trial lesson with one of my master coaches and see what your strengths and weaknesses are and where you should go from there. But don't discount yourself and don't pretend like your best days are behind you, because as long as you are breathing, your best day and your best moment is right now. It's all we're promised. I love you guys so much. I hope you loved this deep dive analysis as much as I enjoyed delivering it to you. And as always, I will see you on the next one. Bye.